All right, we are live, guys. Welcome back. This is a very impromptu, very special episode of the Dividend Happy Hour. And much like the last one on Friday, I'm joined by my two amigos. We got Darth Dividend, we got Russ Knop, Dapper Dividends in the building. Fellas, how are we doing tonight?
Doing all right. I can't complain. Russ has it a little rough with the weather.
Well, it's coming. Dude, if you're in
Yeah.
the Chicagoland area, Thursday and Friday are going to be just awful. Awful.
So Russ was just telling us he had some big plans that were ruined by the weather.
Dude, we are going to see the Hawks at the United Center. We had a hotel in the city. We were doing like a family thing, and we had all this stuff planned out. But yeah, they're saying 55 mile per hour winds. There's going to be blowing blizzard like conditions, 25-degree below zero wind chills. And I'm like, yeah, cancel hotel, cancel everything. Got more important things to worry about, like when it's our safety. So,
Hey Russ, what are
yeah.
and Darth, maybe you can say this too. What are those hockey games like? I've heard hockey's supposed to be really fun to watch. And here in Vegas, we've got the Las Vegas Golden Knights that I would love to check out. But how are those games?
Russ can answer that. I haven't been to a
Expensive.
hockey match in a long time.
Expensive at the NHL level, but
Really?
yeah, man, they're fun. They're a blast. I've loved hockey since I was a kid, and yeah, I'd go once if I was you. And I don't know, you guys are hockey. It's hockey, man, hockey. Get it right.
I'm not typically like a big sports guy. I don't spend a lot of time watching football or baseball or basketball, but I'd be willing to give hockey a shot. Like I said, I've heard really good things. I've heard it's just supposed to be a really fun experience going to those games. Or do they call them matches? Match? Game? What is it?
I call it a game.
That's
Okay.
the
A
game.
good old hockey game. There's a song from it from like the 60s or 70s. Anyway, yeah, nice shirt. Cody, here he is. So I'm going to just do this right away if you don't mind me doing a little commandeering here. So Cody, Citizen of the Year, texted me a little bit ago and asked if I had seen the Average Joe Investor video he did about PepsiCo. And he apparently, which I watched the video and verified it, doesn't think Pepsi's a buy. He thinks it's dangerous because their free cash flow payout ratio is at 96% currently. So yeah, that's high, but I'm learning. So you always ask, okay, why? Like, just always ask why. So it's a pretty interesting thing. So at 2021, they had an 84% free cash flow dividend payout ratio. So 84% to the 96% now is a 14% increase year over year. Well, they increased the dividend 7%, and inflation's been about 7-8%. So I think that's where that's pretty much coming in from. And PepsiCo also, they raised their prices. If you guys remember, it was a big story, 17% in October. So I think it's going to take a little while for that to trickle through. It's going to take a few quarters. I mean, their cost of goods, they had to pay more for that up front for their inventory, and it just cost them more money. So that's obviously going to affect the bottom line. You're not going to have as much cash trickling down. So I think they're going to get it back. I think we're going to start to see that free cash flow payout ratio start coming down. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a concern that it's 96%. And then the last thing is their net income. The dividend is 62.5% of their net income. I know it's not paid out of net income, but obviously if it was more than net income, then that would be a serious, serious problem in my opinion. So yeah, I threw the Pepsi shirt on. I still think they're a great company, great brand. I love that. I was just showing Ryan and Darth that we got some Captain Crunch, and I don't even know, there was something wrong with it, but yeah, my kids still like cereal. They're cereal fiends. They sent us some $3 off certificates. I came home and I saw the PepsiCo letter and I got all excited. I didn't know what it was. It looked like official stationery from PepsiCo. And I thought maybe they were going to offer me a job or some sort of executive C-level, but no. Anyway, so that's what's going on.
So
I think they're good still.
yeah, so I mean, regarding their inventory,
Yeah.
they were far from the only company that went through that same issue. I remember Target went through. Do you guys remember this too? Probably something very similar, right? Where they came out and announced that they had too much inventory, specifically in like the outdoor furniture area. You guys remember that? And same thing.
I
They're going to
run-
have to. They're going to have to sell those products at lower prices, or their plan was to sell those products at lower prices just to offload that excess inventory. Sorry, Darth.
Yep.
Go ahead, man.
No, I was going to say I did hear something about that, but with Pepsi, I mean, look at how many products they have on the shelves that people buy constantly. I mean, it's a juggernaut company. I mean, it runs circles around Coca-Cola. Although I like Diet Coke better as a product, but Pepsi is just a huge company. I mean, they're a beast.
Yeah,
What do
in
you
the
guys
soda
think about,
category, they're still not going to touch Coke. Coke is just that's the ultimate, soft drink moat. I mean, Pepsi's always going to be a distant two, in my opinion, to Coke as the preeminent soda. But yeah, it's to touch on your point with inventory. It's really interesting. I don't know what they're going to do. They were trying to offload it, right? But if they can't, instead of sitting on their inventory, a lot of retailers will either donate it. Like they don't want to, sometimes they trash it, which you get nothing, or you can donate it for the tax write-off, or you can dump it off on liquidators and get 25 cents on the dollar. You can still claim that 75-cent loss on taxes, and then you can still reinvest the 25 cents. And if you do it right, you might be able to make that back. So kind of an interesting thing that retailers can do with their oversupply of inventory. If they can't, hey, we bought a new Vizio TV, man. It was ridiculous. It was under $500 for a 65-inch. I don't know all the bells and whistles, but it turns on and I can see people on it. So that's good enough for me.
Yeah. So going back to Pepsi real quick.
Yeah.
Do you know, like their price increases in October, was that the only one they initiated this year, or was that one of multiple price increases that they put out there? Do you know?
Yeah, I don't remember. I think there was a second one, and I know retailers started pushing back. I do remember reading that. Maybe somebody in the comments knows that. Sorry, I just saw some.
Matt Money's comment.
Yeah.
I'll put it up here.
I just caught
this show
it.
loses a ton of credibility by having Darth on. Hey, Russ, you never answered his question. You never answered his question from Friday or from Sunday, man. When Lambo?
Oh, for me, never, baby, never. That's it's a depreciating asset. It rapidly depreciates. Well, I don't know. Maybe Lambos don't. I'm not a car guy though. All I know is I want an appliance that gets me from point A to point B, has a little bit of heat in the winter, a little bit of cool air in the summer, and keeps the elements off of us. So, yeah, I really don't care. Dude, we drive a 2011 GMC Acadia with 135,000 miles on it, and I have no intention of replacing it anytime soon. I don't know. I don't care. Been paid off for many, many years.
There you go. I mean, that's how I did with my 2012 Camry. So I drive a 2012 Camry. So I hear you.
Oh, I love it. Yeah.
Up until a couple of years ago, I'll share my car now that we're doing it. I was rocking a 2006 Volkswagen Jetta, but that thing literally it wasn't going to go another mile. In fact, on my way to trade it in, I stopped at the gas station just to put a few bucks in the tank to get me to the dealership. Don't tell the dealership this too. It wouldn't start. Like after I filled up gas, put a little bit of gas in there, it would not start. I had trouble turning over, like on my way to just trade it in. So it was time, unfortunately, to get rid of it. But it was nice not having that car payment. But yeah. Anyway.
Oh no, Dan says I sound like an accountant. Do I really? That's crazy because I'm a welder. I'm a construction guy. Maybe I've been lifting. See, I'm listening to too much Warren Buffett. It's finally just starting to seep in and take off. I mean, it's just that's fun. I do enjoy it. I don't know if you guys do. I love trying to find the stories, with what's going on with companies. So,
guys, keep me on check here. Keep me on task. I'm getting off subject. Apparently.
All right.
What was the subject? I don't even remember.
I thought it was cars.
Oh,
Pepsi cars.
Oh, the Pepsi prices. Yeah, I do remember retailers were pushing back, saying like, "Yeah, people are paying it, but you guys are starting to like push it here. We can't just keep raising these prices this much." And I think they were putting less chips. They're all doing it. Shrinkflation, right? They're charging more and putting a little bit less Doritos in each bag or something.
Hey, speaking of chips, what do you guys think about? I know Darth has some thoughts on this. Some thoughts on Intel. What do you guys think?
Well, I'm buying them tomorrow. I'm making it official. I'm buying them tomorrow. I'm very excited in state of Ohio and Columbus. They're building a huge semiconductor factory. Not just is it going to generate jobs, but the community colleges around the area are starting to pump out programs just for semiconductors. So that's going to generate a lot of revenue in the state of Ohio. It's going to keep the United States competitive. And these guys are cheap. I mean, they were a 5% dividend yield. Revenue's been pretty consistent. And, I know Matt's saying I buy too many REITs, but I'm starting to expand my portfolio a little bit, and I'm going into the semiconductors. A lot of people have Texas Instruments. Some people like Seagate. That's another one, STX Seagate. But Intel, I need to cap into those guys. Seagate, I sold for a huge profit. Probably rebuy them eventually. But Seagate's really interesting, too, the way they're with video games. But Intel is what I'm buying tomorrow. I'm making it clear that I am buying Intel tomorrow, and I stand by that.
Is this your first tranche in Intel?
Yeah, it's my first buy. I'll probably get to 100 shares pretty quick. That's my goal, and then start going from there.
Yeah, you could do that. Put in about $2,600 and you'll be there. That's crazy. They're now down 50% year to date. That's unreal.
Yeah.
That's
5.45% dividend yield too.
So we were talking, Darth and I were talking earlier today about this, and one thing that I think often gets forgotten about Intel is this right here. I mean, we could go farther into the financials if you guys want, but this right here still, people love to hate on Intel, but still, they have been growing their revenue very consistently. Very consistently, at least across the last 10 years. So despite how beaten down they are today, they have a very impressive track record of growing in the financials.
Yeah, and I mean, they're competitive. They adapt. So that's a big key with those guys as a company. I mean, you look at Sears, you look at Best Buy, they didn't adapt. And Intel is adapting as a company. So I think that's huge.
Yeah, I lightly am buying as well. It's funny. I was looking into Tyson Foods, right? And I know I talked about it last time. I've still been amongst everything I'm doing. It's funny. It's like, this is what we do. Beef, pork, chicken, prepared foods. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I can understand that easily. And it's a funny thing because Casey is probably not here, but she was saying she was trying to understand the semis, and she goes like super deep, needs to understand every little thing. And I don't understand like how the inner workings of the chips. So, but I don't know. That's a curious thing. Like, do you guys in the chat, does anybody think that's enough to turn off an investment? Like if you see that they're making money, for some people like me, that's good enough to look at the finances. But as far as like the product, and I think this is why Warren and Charlie do not invest in tech, because him and Charlie cannot understand how the chips are built, how they function, how they integrate with everything. And then they can't predict out 10 years from now what the cash flows will look like. So I don't know, man. It's an interesting thing, but I do believe in Pat Gelsinger, who is the former Chief Technical
CTO.
Officer. Yeah, he's the former CTO, which is fantastic because Bob Swan was the former CFO. So it's a really different dynamic, and I think the company is in good hands because I think Pat, who gets paid a lot of money, I think he's one of the highest paid CEOs. I don't know. He's got a plan, and it's probably going to take about 3 years or so. I've read for chip cycles, it's like 3 to 4 years ish for them to get going from inception to when they're on the market. So he's got a little bit more time until we can fully judge him, I think. But right now, I'm gambling on Pat Gelsinger and what he's going to do with the company more so than me understanding the technology. If that's right, I don't know. But what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Darth. I know you had some thoughts. Go ahead, man.
So when I invest in dividend stocks, they need to be in demand. Tyson Foods is in demand. People are buying chicken like crazy. People buy chicken like crazy. I mean, I've been buying Tyson chicken. I mean, every grocery store I go to, they're just about empty on the shelves. They're a big one. McCormick seasoning. So, things that correlate like that. I'm just trying to think of some examples of companies. Like people like
there's KC, by the way. So she's in the comments. Because I referenced her, so she You pop it up on the screen.
She doesn't miss a stream, Russ. You know this, man.
That's true.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Darth.
No, that's okay. I just look at companies that are in demand. If they're in demand, they're going to generate revenue. I mean, Pepsi's in demand. So, I mean, people can say da about Pepsi. I mean, how many people buy Quaker Oats at the store? Or how many times do you see people buy Pepsi products at the grocery store? I tell people, I mean, that's the easiest way that I found dividend stocks. I mean, Hanesbrands, Matthew Ramey had like his website, and I'm like, all right, who's Hanesbrands? And I started seeing these logos and like stuff that I was buying. I'm like, ooh, these guys are the real deal. And look at their dividend growth. It's like high, CAG, if you guys are looking at the symbol. So that's a hot dividend stock. So, I mean, if they're in demand, people are going to buy them, and they're going to usually do pretty well.
The interesting thing about Intel, specifically Intel, compared to other semiconductor stocks, is I believe it's the only, or companies, it's the only one that kind of has its hand in both areas of that industry. They're both designing and manufacturing chips, which on one hand could give them a certain advantage because it allows them to diversify, where their revenue is coming from. But on the other hand, one might argue as well that it doesn't allow them, because they're focused on just doing one, like AMD is just focused on design. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing is just focused on the manufacturing side of things. That it does present a sort of disadvantage because they're not able to specialize and go just down one lane. Does that make sense?
No, yeah. I see where you're going. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I mean, overall, Russ, like you said, I have faith in Gelsinger, and I was telling Darth earlier today, I just can't imagine this playing out where Intel just goes away. I just don't see that happening. Like, even despite a lot of people, the low-hanging fruit against Intel is that they're losing market share to companies like AMD and Nvidia. But still, like, just considering the importance of this industry and considering the fact that it's going to be growing exponentially over the next, into the future, I just can't imagine them not being around and there not being space for Intel.
And it's like an arms race too.
And I've said it before that for me with buying Intel, it's just at this point it's like gambling for me, but it's a little bit better to gamble than putting money down on 36 red, or is it 36 black? I don't know. I don't remember. Either way, it shows you how much I go to the casinos. But yeah, anyway, for me, it's really risky, and I just, like I said, it's a gamble for me. So
quick question from the live chat. Derek wants to know, did Intel make a mistake on spinning off Mobileye to the public markets? What do you guys think about that?
I don't think so, because they're retaining a stake in it that they're going to keep peeling off as they need money. I don't remember. Maybe somebody remembers how much of a stake they kept in Mobileye, but
it's above 90. It's above 90%, I believe. Like it's way up there.
So yeah, but I mean, if they need money, hopefully, I think they were thinking that they made money on it too. I think they doubled their money from when they bought it. So I think they doubled their money. They sold it off, and they're keeping a majority stake, and they can just sell that as they need money. They can just sell off shares of that. So I don't know. I don't know enough about it. I guess we'll have to see if that autonomous technology, the advanced driver assistance something that they do, but we'll see if that starts getting put into vehicles.
So switching gears a little bit, switching stocks, David wants to know about Tyson. He says Tyson's negative on total returns on the 1-year and 5-year charts. So, we're over here thinking Tyson's a good investment. It's in demand. People are buying their chicken, their beef, their pork. But as far as the stock goes, it's seeing negative total returns across all time periods. And I'll let you guys touch on this. But from what I remember, David, all of those, even in the 5-year period, the total returns, the losses there have pretty much all come in this last year. In fact, I'll look it up just to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that was the case. What do you guys think about that?
I'm not worried. I'm still going to buy them. Really not worried. I mean, there's such in demand right now. And the price of steak versus the price of chicken, I mean, people are starting to be a little bit more frugal with the fears of a recession. I know I don't want to get you in trouble on your channel by saying something like that. But, Yeah, I mean, these guys are down, and I'm capitalizing on them in the M1 Finance dividend portfolio.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Couple notes here that I've been jotting down as I was going through their last annual report, which came out in November. Did you guys know 17.7% of their 22 sales was from Walmart? It's by far their biggest customer, and their next biggest customers are not even over 10%. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, so prices went up in 2022. Corn, soybean meal, and feed compromised 62% of their cost to grow a live chicken. So obviously that all was going up in price. And yeah, as their operating margin, it's interestingly enough, beef is their biggest at 12.6. Like, we think of them as chicken, but 12.6% operating margin from beef, 3% from pork, 5.6% from chicken, and 7.7% from prepared foods, which is like the frozen meals and whatnot. So, yeah.
Ultra Renner here says Tyson is a powerhouse in the meat industry. I agree. They need to work on trickling more revenue to the bottom line, but Tyson is not going anywhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But
yeah,
they got some things to tighten up.
Yeah, but even so, like, yeah, I mean, even so, if we look at the financials, they're still seeing really steady growth on the top line for sure, and I even think on the bottom line as well. Here's their revenue right here. You guys can see that, right? Yeah, here's their revenue. So, saw a little dip between 2015 and 2016, but since then, it's like gone up very steadily. So they're still increasing their sales. Gross profit is going up along with that. Scrolling down, I mean, the dividend per share, if we just want to look at that, very nice trend upward. And this is
it's growing like significantly.
Yeah, it's a very high growth dividend stock. I think in the mid-teens is what their 5-year growth rate's at right now, right?
Also remember with, and I want everyone in the chat to remember too, like I read Total Retail, and they were saying how this has been, setting records for sales. Well, obviously because everything costs more, so people are having to spend more. So therefore, in real dollars, people are spending more. So you're going to have to look at, that's where I think it comes into use, like looking at just the ratios, seeing how much of it is making it to the bottom line. And so just one thing, just when you see all these revenues go up, I mean, people like to tout that. So just one little thing to keep in mind, that everything costs more. So companies are naturally going to be bringing in more dollars.
Yep. Good point, man. Good point. So quick question for you two gentlemen. And also you guys, I want to hear from you in the live chat. What do you guys plan on buying this week? Do you have anything in your sights you locked and loaded, ready to pull the trigger on? What are you guys planning on picking up?
I've been buying. Do you want me to go, or you want to go, Darth?
It's a scatter bomb for me in my M1 Finance dividend portfolio. I mean, I'm just dollar cost averaging. What else? A little bit of Arbor Realty Trust. I did buy a little bit of them today. EPRT, nice. Man, I haven't seen that symbol in a long time. Oh, I'm just looking at heavy metal taxes comment.
So today I did some buying. I bought some more Nexstar Media at 168.75, I think, or 169.75, which was below the first tranche I bought it at. Stupidly, I wanted to buy one more share of Target. I put it in for 143.45. And wouldn't you know it, the low today was 143.55. So 10 cents. I don't know why I picked that number. I should have just bought, but I'm trying to get more Target. I did buy more Leggett and Platt today. I also bought more Ares Capital because they were under 18 for a minute, or right around 18. And I bought more Main Street Capital too because it was under 37, just a few shares. And that's it. I'm hoping to get more realty income. I have a buy order for 61.50, which is just below my order. I have 92 shares at 61.75. So I'm trying to get the last 8 shares below 61.75. So I'm hoping to see it down there. That's what I have been buying.
What's your average cost of realty income right now, Russ?
61.75 on 92 shares.
Okay, so you'll be averaging down just a little bit. Nice, man.
I'm trying to.
Hey, what do you guys think? Darth, I know. Oh, go ahead. I know you're going to say something.
No, I was going to say I got 2 shares of ARC today too. So it's just luck of the draw. But go ahead.
I was going to ask, I'm pretty sure you have this stock in your portfolio. Excuse me, GLPI. Do you own that?
Yes, gaming and leisure properties. Yes.
Yeah. How do you think they compare to Vici? Which, real quick, for those of you who don't know, GLPI is, like Darth said, gaming and leisure properties. Just another real estate investment trust in the gaming industry. I believe they have 1 or 2 properties here in Vegas, but for the most part, their gaming properties are spread out across the country. What do you think about those guys compared to Vici?
Well, I mean, I own both of them. It's like Agree Realty Corporation and Realty Income. But I would consider them both rivals, and they're both really solid. The dividend growth is solid. The revenue is solid. People love to party, and they're going to be in demand. That's the way I see it. That's why I've been buying them. I think I have like 36 shares or so of them. But yeah, GLPI is hot and VC is hot. So I've been throwing some money in those guys with my M1 Finance.
Nice, man. Looks like Vici's seeing better total returns across the last few years. But I do think, last time I checked, I'm pretty sure GLPI has got a lower P to FFO than Vici. I think they're at a little more of a discount. But still, the financials do look pretty impressive, right? Like rental revenues going up. The AFFO on the bottom line is going up as well. So there's a lot to like about both companies, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I like both of them. It's like, with Stag or Prologis, I mean, a lot of people buy both. I mean, they're both good. They're both solid. So,
yeah.
I just like the dividend growth and, diversification. I also have so EPR Properties, that's another one that I like. And I bought them when they really suspended their dividend when the pandemic hit. I bought a lot of shares of those guys. They resumed their dividends. So far, so good.
Yeah, let's take a look at these guys real quick. I actually have not heard of that stock before, but
and I love. I was going to say I love trolling people on like the AMC apes and the AMC investors on Twitter because EPR Properties is a major landlord to them. I'll just say, hey, make sure you pay your landlord or there's going to be no more AMC. So they like that a lot.
Dude, prior to 2020, they had some really nice growth going on.
Really yeah, and they got hit hard. I mean, it makes perfect sense why they got hit hard because, I mean, they're solely on like the experiential, process, the experience and, people going on vacation and ski resorts and all that. Well, that closed. I mean, they got destroyed. I mean, because of the pandemic and they started coming back and it's exciting to see them come back to life.
Yeah. So I'm taking a look at some of their different properties right now. Like you said, they've got the movie theaters. Looks like they've got some Topgolf, which is great. Topgolf is very popular. Always busy from what I've seen. Some water parks, which are awesome. Ski resorts, gaming. There's a lot to like about their portfolio just from a high-level overview, it looks like. I'd like to dive deeper into this.
That would be interesting. My worry would be if we do hit into a deep recession that obviously I don't think people will be spending money on this stuff. So I think that could be a good, enter point. But yeah, I've never looked at them at all. That's just a 1,000-foot level thought there.
So Lucas just asked me a question. Do I feel sometimes you went heavy on REITs or do you feel good on all your buys? To be honest with you, I've been heavily investing in the real estate sector since the pandemic hit, as well as the financial sector. So those are my 2 sectors I've been targeting probably for about 2 years. And then I'm going to start diversifying a little bit more. But they've been down. They're trying to recover. And, I mean, stocks like KeyBank, KeyCorp, Regions Financial, Ally, I mean, they and I just did post a video on CubeSmart too. That's another one that's very interesting. It's just they're down. They're trying to recover price wise, and I'm just capitalizing on them.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this one right here, Simon Property Group?
God, I was buying them in the 60s, I think, or was it the 50s, like way back during the pandemic. Yeah. And you know why I did it is because I saw that the Simons bought. And as soon as I saw the Simons buying, I was like, with their own personal money, not using the company to buy back shares. No, they were buying their own personal money, dumping millions of dollars into their own stock to buy it. So I was like, you know what? I think they have a good feeling about this. So I started a position then, and I think I only got 10 shares. But yeah, I think they're solid. Every time I go buy a Simon property, if anybody's in Wisconsin or near Wisconsin, shout out to the Pleasant Prairie outlets up there in Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin. Also, they have one out here in off of I-88. Oh, what town is that? I don't remember, but Winfield maybe. But every time I go by, there's always people there. So I think they do offer an interesting. It's kind of like a mall, but a little more upscale, right? I mean, with all their outlets and stuff. So, yeah.
So, just a few quick stats on SPG. We won't go through their financials, but I just took a quick scan through them. Looking great. Some nice growth on the revenue and the AFFO, and they look to be at a very nice valuation right now. The P to FFO is single digits, so out of the few REITs we've talked about so far tonight, they look to be the cheapest in that, just based on that metric. Nice high yield, 6.2% basically, and a little bit of a growth history. Looks like they probably cut it back in 2020, which is understandable, and they're building back some momentum there. Let's see what their dividend history looks like. But Russ, to your point, man, like I've never been to an SPG property that I didn't like. There's Caesar's Palace here in Las Vegas. They have the forum. Yeah. They have the forum shops, which is that many of you guys out there in the live chat probably know this. It's that mall with the ceiling looks like it's like a sky, right? It's got clouds and all that stuff. So that's an SPG property, and I think there's another SPG property on the Strip. I could be wrong, but even just that one, the forum shops, always busy, always nice. And like I said, I haven't been to one that I don't like. And also in California, so driving down I-5, which is like the main freeway, takes you from, even down from Washington, I think, to Southern California. Right before you get to the Grapevine in Los Angeles, or get to the Grapevine going into Los Angeles, there's a big like you said, big outlets, tons of big shops, and that's an SPG property as well.
So I just looked. My cheapest that I bought them was on March 24th, 2020 for $54.50 a share. And I bought one share. Oh, no, I take it back. On April 2nd, 2020, I got one share for $46.50. So I sure wish I would have just loaded up.
They also own the Crystal shops in the Aria. Thank you, Ultra Runner. I knew there was one.
Oh, I've been in there.
Yeah, those are not really nice too. Yeah, Darth, go ahead, man. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, when that pandemic hit, like this is when I took a year off in between my BSN to nurse practitioner school, and there's no gym open. Like, what am I going to do? I just worked so many hours and just threw down so much money on REITs, and that's why I'm like really loaded up on REITs and financial sector stocks. I mean, and Ryan, go to Kilroy with yours. I mean, look at the price with the real estate sector and the financial sector. I mean, they're still trying to like gain some ground, but they're not. I mean, they're still trying to recover, and they're cheap, compared to when the pandemic started. So that's why I'm kind of going after the real estate sector and financial sector. Stocks are still trying to recover price per share, but they're so cheap right now. This is why I'm just loading up on them.
Yeah, man, like Kilroy, for example, which I'm glad you brought this one up. You guys know I love KRC. So when the pandemic first started, mid-March, dropped to 51.23. Okay, today it's probably, what is that? 30% lower than that? Almost 30% lower than that at 38.34 per share. So it's even lower than where it was at the peak of the pandemic. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're taking a while. A lot of real estate stocks it's taken a while to recover. I still don't understand how Agree Realty Corporation is so expensive. That one still boggles my mind.
Yeah, man, KRC's, every time I scroll through the financials, what a beaut. What a beaut.
That one's, that's an attractive stock.
Yeah.
I I just
Go
saw
ahead,
them
Russ,
talking
sorry.
to Rick again. Sorry
I
about
was just, I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to bring that one up too. I was going to say, and Russ, there's a lot of chatter about Rick in the live chat, but you know what? Like that one's looking pretty solid too. Like for what it is, the financials are not bad, man.
Oddly enough, no, and I kind of looked at it as a complete like joke, but honestly, if it if we hit a if it gets cheap, I think KC said Rick under $80. It's still one of her. She likes them there, so the business does have legs, Casey. That is correct.
Yep. Got to give a quick shout out to my man Kevin Burgess.
Hey.
Kevin, hope you're having a good Monday. Good to see you in here. Kevin, we got to get you on the Dividend Happy Hour with us one of these nights. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh man. So what else, guys? So I actually didn't get to say this earlier in the stream, but I have not been feeling too hot, guys. Initially, we were planning on just going for like 30 minutes tonight, but I don't know. I'm feeling up to a full hour. You guys got 25 more minutes left in you?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
good.
I
I
can
mean,
manage.
yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'm telling you, Friday, like I was exhausted from my shift with like 4 hours of sleep, but feeling sick is on a whole different level.
Darth's ready to go. He had his Christmas ale earlier, so he's ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, still some nice Rick chatter in the live chat there.
Rick roll. There you go.
Let's take a look at it real quick. So I'll put it up on the screen here.
Yeah.
Just a sec. But no, this stock is looking good, and I filmed a short about this stock that I'm going to put out tomorrow. But so for those of you who don't know, Rick is RCI Hospitality Holdings. Russ talking about it was the first time I heard about it, and surprisingly, like while many stocks are down this year, this company is up 13%.
That's surprising.
Yeah, man. So people are spending their hard-earned money, even with fears of a recession, at the strip club. But just breezing through the financials, look at this. Really nice growth in the rental revenue.
Wow.
Or total revenue, I guess. But in the AFFO, if it'll show us, which it doesn't look like it will for this one, but it is looking good. And it looks like they're actually buying back shares a little bit here, which is unusual for a real estate investment trust.
Yeah. But, I mean, wow. I mean, that looks like a traditional and/or Roth IRA stock material too, man.
Yeah.
How's it doing
They've
against
been growing
the
that
S&P?
dividend nice too.
Yeah. Let's take a look at that. So low yield. What? Why is it? Is the
No,
yield
that's
really
probably
that
just
low?
a glitch.
Yeah,
that
that
happens.
doesn't look right to me.
0.22%.
Yeah, that doesn't look right to me. Seeking Alpha's tripping.
Yeah, that happens on Zacks too sometimes.
We might have to pull it up on Simply Safe, to be honest.
I guess I could do that if you want. Let's see.
Seeking Alpha does that sometimes. It's just I don't know. Sometimes they glitch out.
Let me bring it up.
Yeah.
Are we on? Is it on?
Here we go. I'll put it up right now.
Move my pop-out window. Yeah, so yeah, only 0.22%. But their dividend growth though, I mean they 10% 5-year CAGR, 19% last increase.
Huh.
I mean, but it's a small dividend, and they had cut it obviously March or June 2020.
Oh, that's
under. I don't even think they
good.
could have had their buildings open. So, but they still paid a dividend. It's crazy. But their let's see, yeah, free cash flow payout ratio 4%.
And I had it wrong real quick, guys. Julia says it's not a REIT, and that was my mistake. I thought it was. My bad.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought I was wrong. I didn't think it was a REIT. But 432 free cash flow per share, 9.38 million shares outstanding, and yeah, small, $268 million of total sales. But there you go, 27% operating margin. I mean, just 14% ROIC. And net debt only 46%. So I mean, yeah, definitely an interesting company that I don't know. It's we like making jokes about it and whatnot, but
well, I think it's pretty undeniable that it is the sexiest dividend stock on the market. Wouldn't you guys say?
Coach Tim
but
said,
no, Julius, thank you for that correction there. I was totally tripping, so I appreciate it. So Caitlin here says, Casey says, a significant portion of their VIP customer base were crypto bros who all evaporated for obvious reasons, probably drove some of the CEO's color there.
no kidding.
And speaking of strip clubs, I guess, Ryan, is it true that what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? Well, I don't know. Some things, I guess.
As long as he didn't buy AGNC, we're good. So
yeah, right. Don't buy AGNC in Vegas. Don't buy it at home. Don't buy it here, there, or anywhere.
Michael, it's Simply Safe Dividends, Michael, and it is very, very expensive. It's almost prohibitively expensive, but yeah. I'm pretty much using the YouTube money to get that subscription so I could share it with all you guys. And yeah, I don't know.
So I've seen some chatter about this one. Maybe you guys have as well. Hanesbrands, ticker symbol HBI. Do you guys know anything about this stock?
Yeah, I did a video on them. People wanted me to do a video on them. Their dividend growth is not very good right now. Revenue, I mean, you know, Browns quarterback, you know, we go through Browns quarterbacks like you go through Hanes socks. That's my joke. But, you know, the thing is their dividend growth has been atrocious. I mean, revenue, so-so. But it's just I don't know. I'm turned off, honestly, because the dividend growth is not very hot right now. But it is cheap. I mean, there's a risk to take, you know, with it being cheap. But very surprising. That one, I don't understand. You know, I think it was a debt issue or something, too.
You're right. It is. So 40% of their debt, which is $1.6 billion, is going to mature in the next 18 months. So that means that's going to leave them exposed to refinancing at much higher rates. Simply Safe has a little blurb about them there. So,
and they don't.
Yeah, it says if their debt was refinanced today, the new notes would carry interest rates at least 5 percentage points higher. So that would translate to about $10 million. It would increase their interest expense to $65 million next year alone, or about 9% of their 2021 profits. So, yeah, they're thinking they're going to have a big issue there, and they also have negative free cash flow per share right now too. So,
yeah,
not
and
good.
Even prior to the negative free cash flow, it didn't seem like they had enough coming in to be able to cover that debt. So, you know, I think we could put the yield trap stamp on HBI for now, which is unfortunate because it's a pretty you know, it's a company that's been around for a long time. Hanes, man, it's you know, it's right up there. It's one of those kind of iconic brands that I guess competes with one of Warren Buffett's holdings, Fruit of the Loom. I don't know if he still has Fruit of the Loom, but I know he did at one point. What are you looking at?
Oh, me? I don't know. I just catching up on some of what they were saying. People, Hanes, nobody. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd stay away from it. It's probably looking like a dividend cut.
I have white T-shirts for my scrubs with those guys. I will say though,
everything is Gildan. I don't know who makes Gildan. Does anybody know?
No, I don't. But I don't know. I have some Hanes. I have a couple just plain white Hanes shirts. But I gotta say, these days I just get my plain T-shirts from somewhere like H&M. Super cheap, few bucks a pop. Last a long time. Lucas here says Hanes probably turns into Abercrombie and Fitch.
No, they won't go that.
Levi Strauss owns Gildan.
But you know, I will say this: with Walmart and Target and stuff, those cheap shirts, like cheap cartoon shirts and stuff, excellent workout shirts for like $7. I will say that. But no, you know what's weird too at Walmart and Lowe's and stuff? They're actually locked up in a cabinet. Hanes T-shirts are locked up.
Wonder if people were
probably
jacking
from
them.
people stealing, but yeah, I mean they seem like they're always sold out at, you know, like Walmart and Lowe's. I'm sorry, not Walmart and Lowe's. Walmart and Target. So I just find it really interesting. I mean, they seem like they're in demand, but you know, mismanagement and, you know, issues with the high ups, that can be an issue.
Yeah. So real quick, guys, Ultra Runner here says, and I got to thank you two gentlemen for this. This has been your best dividend happy hour. This is crazy productive. So thank you for that. I, you know, wouldn't be made possible without Darth and Dapper here.
Just having fun, man.
Double D.
Oh yeah,
that's fun.
Gout.
No, it's fun just to come on here sometimes. We were talking about this. It's fun just to come on here sometimes. No agenda. Just kind of shoot the breeze and see where it goes. You guys know, usually when I'm just by myself, there's a little, you know, topic the first 10, 15, 20 minutes, and we'll get to the Q&A. But it's nice just to come on here and hang out with these guys and hang out with you guys and see where the conversation goes.
I like it.
Yeah, it's fun. It feels natural, just smooth. I mean, look at how fast like time is flying. That's always a good thing, you know?
I know, man. I know. Okay, what else we got here in the comments? I'll keep pulling stuff up here. Let's see. Oh, Tutomi also wants to thank you guys for the great answers. So good stuff, guys. Okay, so Racket here, this is a good strategy. I mean, good tried and true strategy. Sticking with safest stocks and ETFs. SCHD, Realty Income. I don't know SPYG. Is that just like an S&P 500 ETF or something? Apple, Microsoft, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, Hormel.
SPYG.
So I have a question for you guys. Do you worry about overlap? So like when you're buying SCHD and you also own the individual companies, do you worry about that overlap? Like a lot of people own Microsoft outright, and then they'll also own just the S&P 500, which Microsoft makes up a significant portion of it, right? So that's something I've thought about. And actually, I did that today. I forgot to mention also, I sold Duke Energy out of my self-directed IRA. And Shamir, if you're still watching, I had some words with him. I bought BMO. Well, here it's BMO Harris Bank, but Harris is going away, and it's just going to be BMO if it's not already. I just wanted a little more exposure to financials. I think that they're just set up better. I don't think that they're going to go through what we saw before. They're not going to get caught again. And I think financials is going to be good going forward. So I wanted a little bit more financial exposure, and I wanted to hold them in the self-directed IRA because I didn't want to worry about the Canadian taxes. And also, what made me think of it was Ian Lopik on his last video, his 10 high yield stocks. He mentioned briefly about BMO. So it's interesting that I did that.
So Russ, this will have been the third financial stock that you added pretty recently, right?
No, because if you're JP Morgan, you were talking about, I guess if you're, the BDCs, little bit different though. Obviously they're not banks, but they're still financial stocks. So, and the higher interest rates is going to benefit lenders. And I think the interest rates are going to be higher for a while. I know that the Federal Reserve, their terminal rate now, I think, is going to be over 5%, and they're talking it maybe that way till 2024. And I don't know what it's going to come down to when they start cutting. They're talking about inflation might still be at anywhere from 2 to 4%. That might be their new target rate. So I don't know. I think it's going to be great for the lenders for the next year or so.
Yeah. So I mean, prior to inflation just kind of getting out of control, their target rate was like 2% or 2.5%, right? Somewhere in there.
You're talking about the Fed funds rate or the inflation? I don't remember. Well, the interest rate was nothing. I mean, if you remember that, at a quarter point, it was like basically nothing. And they were even toying with the idea of going negative interest rates, which I think they did do in Europe. And Europe's obviously lagging. They're just, riding the Fed's coattails here, doing what they're doing. But interest was 2%. Their target rate was 2% for inflation interest. Right? I just goofed that up. I don't know. Their target for inflation was 2% is what it was. But the Fed funds rate, which is like what, right? That's like what sets, let me explain it right. So the Fed funds rate is like what the banks loaning to banks, and that sets the prime rate for like the mortgages and the auto loans and whatnot. And I'm probably butchering this, but it's something like that. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's probably close, but anyway, point being, I think that the lenders are going to shine for the next little while here. And plus, I think the market, we're seeing it down again. Like the S&P was down another, 1%, 1.5%. I think that everybody's starting to price in that there's going to be eroded earnings next year because it has to be. When interest rates go up, everything is more expensive. Property, plant, and equipment. It's just everything goes up. So I think companies' earnings are obviously going to have to come down. And I think people are starting to realize that.
Yeah.
Matt Money's making comments. I can almost guarantee he's buying Verizon tomorrow.
Me?
Just waiting on a comment.
Or you?
Dude, Verizon's looking good. Verizon's down like 30% year to date compared to AT&T, which is up, I think.
No, we had a big
15,
discussion
20%.
on that. He is not about T and Verizon. I mean, it's understandable. I like his philosophy. It's always good to listen in. I know you guys own T. I sold them when they cut their dividend. I'm the type of person, I'll believe it when I see it. If they start hiking their dividends, I do need to look in the communications sector a little bit more. So I may rebuy them, but once they start hiking their dividend, maybe I'll be back in them, but not yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to just wait and see what happens. I know that their top priority, just from what they said in the earnings reports, it is to pay down that debt. So I'm sure that once they get to a place where they feel comfortable with where it's at and where it's going, they might consider doing that. But it has been good since the spinoff to see the debt come down even just a little bit, and hopefully it keeps going. But it seems like a lot of people still share that same sentiment as you, Darth, where it's like they kind of have to prove it still. For a lot of people,
they probably will. I mean, they're a juggernaut company. I mean, usually they start to wake up and they're like, "Oh, we got to do something." Usually that's what happens, unless if you're Enron. So, so
yeah,
it just depends.
Hey, but Russ, to answer your question from a few moments ago about overlap, like from ETFs and individual holdings, it's something I pay a little bit of attention to. Like that was one of the reasons, maybe not a big reason, but one of the reasons I decided to sell out of Lockheed Martin recently was just because it's like one of the top 10 holdings in SCHD. I'm buying SCHD every week, so over time I'll establish a decent LMT position just through that. And I'm sure still, even with that, like there's other stocks that there is some overlap. Like I think Coca-Cola is in SCHD as well, which I also hold individually. But so, I think about it a little bit here and there, but maybe nothing too crazy. What about you, Darth?
I don't know. I mean, I really had to evaluate some stuff in my portfolio and look at some changes and stuff. But I did see a comment by Jay with Disney stock. I'm very disappointed with them cutting the dividend and not resuming it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much with this college football expansion. There's going to be so much money like to be made and stuff. And Disney, I'm pretty sure, like owns part of ESPN, don't they? Like somewhat.
I think they own all. I'm pretty sure.
So I mean, there's so much money to be made, and I'm just very disappointed in them not resuming their dividend. I know Matt Money made a comment. They're focusing on growth, and that's good for them sometimes, but very disappointed with their dividend not coming out.
I'll tell you what, guys. If I see Disney in the 70s, I might start buying it there. That's I was just looking at Alpha Spread right now. They give a worst case, so 5 years of negative growth. They have an intrinsic value of $84.71. So we're almost there. And I don't know. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're just too big. And I don't know if they'll ever start resuming that dividend, but I mean, it's starting to get stupidly cheap, I think.
What do you guys think about Ultra Runner wants to know, what do you think about Paramount? And then someone else said on Paramount that they own, Gorilla here said they're pretty big. They own CBS, Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, Paramount, on and on. What do you guys think about that company? Have you ever looked into it?
I have some shares in them, but the thing is, go back to that. What is it? CBS. Who was the companies?
I'll put it back on the screen. Sorry about that. Gorilla said here, right there.
So I'll make a comment real quick. Who watches MTV anymore? I mean, I don't really watch Comedy Central anymore. South Park's and everything else, but they are adapting like to what they're doing. Like the Paramount Plus is like competitive with Disney Plus, so I think there's a possibility that the future is bright with those guys. So I'll just throw some shares in. They're cheap. They're like less than 20. So see what happens. And the dividend hike isn't very strong, but who get to 100.
Interesting. Derek Malik thinks Netflix is going to buy Paramount. I was just going to say I would watch for Comcast. I think Comcast, and I know I did a video on them, that they're reportedly either going to, because they own Hulu with Disney right now. I don't remember the ownership ratios, but Comcast has a minority stake ownership in Hulu, and there's talk that they could try to buy out Disney so they could take full control, because I think 2024 is when their contract with Disney ends, and then Disney assumes all of it. But also, if they don't do that, then I think Comcast could either buy Warner Brothers Discovery or Paramount. Those might be in play for them to add. They're just a behemoth, Comcast is.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how this streaming stuff plays out, whether there's going to be more expansion or there's going to be consolidation.
Interesting.
Go ahead.
I was going to say one thing real quick, because I've seen some Medtronic talk. I listened to the Dividend Talk podcast today. They had a bloke on from the Netherlands, and he had an interesting thought. He said he doesn't like investing in pharmaceutical companies, but he likes investing in the medical device companies because you don't have to worry about patent cliffs. And he said he's afraid of heights. So there's a bunch of companies that are coming up here for their patent cliffs when, the biosimilars can start making the knockoff drugs, which is like going to eat into their revenues. So I was like, dude, that's a really interesting thought, because like Medtronic, they just make the devices. They don't have a patent cliff to worry about. So I thought that was a kind of cool thought there.
They're big on pacemakers. I mean, pacemakers and ICD. I mean, as a nurse, they'll have me in my previous job, not my travel job right now, but they would have me interrogate pacemakers, and it'd either be Medtronic or Boston Scientific. So, they're up there with pacemakers and insulin pumps, and they got a lot of stuff.
Matt Muddy wants to know, well, he says he's trying to decide whether or not to sell J&J with the spinoff. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know. I think I'm going to hold. I don't know. I'm particular to their consumer health, and I mean, but they are a pharmaceutical company. It's just I think they realize that the consumer health is just an ancillary. It's not a core to the business. So just see if you can unlock value, so that way people who don't want to own a pharmaceutical company can just own the there you go. People can just own the consumer health if that's all that they want to own. They don't want to be messing around with pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, I had to take Tylenol when I woke up this morning, man. 4 shifts in a row. I mean, Tylenol's a big product they have. But I was going to ask you guys a question. The spinoff, what's going on exactly with that? Does like X amount of shares go here, or like what happens with the spinoff?
We don't know yet.
Or I don't think they've announced. Yeah, they haven't. I don't think they've announced how many shares you get. I don't think they've announced that yet. All we know is that they're spinning off into 2 different companies, right? One's the consumer health, the other's the pharmaceuticals and medical devices.
I think they'll still be in demand. I mean, just look at the people going to Walgreens and stuff, how many Johnson & Johnson stuff they buy, or baby shampoo or Band-Aids. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they have on the shelves.
Yeah. People are still going to get headaches. People are still going to get cuts and scrapes and all that stuff. So I don't know. I think it's worth holding on to. I know historically, just with every spinoff I've been through, with what was the one from Realty Income recently within the last year? What was that? That wasn't Beatrice. That was something.
I got rid of it. It was
Orion. I'm kicking myself for not selling that. They shat it out because it's garbage. I
sold that one right off the bat. I sold WBD right off the bat.
Oh, you sons of! I was waiting for $30 a share on WBD. Stupid.
Yeah. But this one, stupid. This one I feel pretty good about holding. Like, I would imagine they'd at least pay a dividend. So I'd feel good about holding on to it.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too, to see because I'm sure they're both going to pay a dividend, so it's probably going to equal the same or eventually maybe more, because how they increase it. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to sell either, though. I think I'm going to keep holding it,
So this is kind of an interesting, it's about 6:00, so we'll hop off kind of after this. God. This is kind of an interesting point. Or an interesting comment. Jessica Alba's Honest Company, which I think Jeremy from Financial Education is a big investor in the Honest Company, coming for Johnson & Johnson. I don't know about that one. I don't know enough about the Honest Company to really have a good opinion on this, but
I don't listen to Jeremy, period. So that's just my honest opinion.
All I'll say is this is news to me, so that maybe should tell you something. I listen to a lot of market stuff all week long, and this is the first I've heard of it. So it's possible, but I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, fellas, I think this is probably a pretty good place to wrap it up. Right about 6 o'clock on the dot, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock for some of you guys out there. So, with that, thank you, fellas, for tuning in with me tonight. I really appreciate you hopping on again. This was fun.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, no
Easy.
problem.
Yeah, and thank all of you guys in the live chat for tuning in. Always a blast hanging out with you guys, and I'll be sure to I'll see you guys again on Friday for another Dividend Happy Hour. Probably will just be me rocking it solo. So tune in if you want. But I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Thank you for hanging out with us this last hour. We really appreciate your support, and you guys stay out of trouble. And we'll see you in the next one.
I'll try to stay out of trouble. Matt and I try to stay out of trouble. We're always causing it. So
I know. Easier said than done, man.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.